Hey, what's going on, you creeps? It's Joshua from the Based on True Events podcast, and I want to take a second to talk about Anchor. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. I know I could probably stop right there, but I won't. So there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Basically, nobody listens to you. It don't matter. You can still make that money. That's exactly right. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Back at it again.
What's going on, man?
Shit.
We're just telling a story at the end of the day.
You can enjoy a fully clothed, totally platonic cuddle session. Not sure what we're doing.
Are these lines safe? Yeah, we can literally say anything we want.
Talk mad shit.
Please continue to follow us. You can find us on all social medias.
All social medias.
All social medias.
All podcasts.
Everywhere that you could listen to a podcast, we're pretty much there. I hit my thing.
What up?
We're rolling.
What's going on, man?
Shep told me to hit my thing. He was talking about the record button, so.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
Bad Limp Bizkit song.
Really bad fucking
I think song. Yeah, dude. I think like
was there a good one?
No.
Fred Bull.
It's kind of hard. Like dude, it's coming off the last episode, man. It's gonna be hard because music is.
I know,
like in the forefront of my head.
Yeah, go back and check out the last episode. It was Kurt Cobain, and it was hard to stay focused and not just go down that whole path
the
of
music story,
reminiscing about music, and that was a sad story.
So before we get started, like I go ahead and do the plug. Check us out on all social medias.
All of them.
All of the medias.
Every one of them.
All of the medias.
Based on True Events podcast.
Based on True Events
also
podcast.
Go to our on the specific. Good start.
Yeah, it's doing well.
Go to Facebook and go to Rock the Boat. It is our Facebook group where we would love to have you join us and interact with us.
And it's BOTE spelled BOTE.
Correct.
As in based on true events.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Or if you don't partake in the social meds.
Like Shep.
Like me, you can also reach us on our email address.
Please email us.
With suggestions, comments, concerns.
Hit him with the email. Let's see if you get it right.
Okay. Based on True Events Podcast at gmail.com.
Nailed it.
And then remember, moving forward, we're doing the I wrote for BOTE.
That's right. We will choose our favorite suggestion each month, and the one that we choose, the wonderful person will receive the awesome T-shirt that says "I wrote for BOTE."
Yeah, and however you decided to contact the Based on True Events podcast, we will return in kind to get your measurements to send you your hard-earned T-shirt.
That's right. And if it ends up being a female, I'm really sorry for the creepy way that Eric just talked about your measurements.
Yeah, well, what the fuck are you supposed to do, man?
But you said like you dropped your tone down. You're like, your measurements.
Well, dude, like we
actually
work
for
with
men and women. That I apologize for the creepiness.
It's dude, we deal with some weird, creepy subject matter. I gotta fucking amp up the creep.
Fair enough.
Amping up the creep.
Well done. I think we covered them all. Hit us up, social media, boom, check. Our new, our email, Based on True Events Podcast at Gmail, check.
Yeah.
Just get a hold of us.
Yeah, we're definitely more active on the Instagram, Facebook side, but you can probably reach us anywhere.
Yeah, and listen to our podcast and follow us, subscribe, literally everywhere that you can listen to podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, throw us a rating.
Yeah, Google Podcast.
Yep. So That I thought I'd do our little plug.
No, it's good because for the first, this is literally season 2, whatever episode. You're going to say 3. I know you will. You say that every fucking time.
What is this, episode 3?
Yeah. But for the first 20 episodes, we kept forgetting to fucking plug ourselves and tell you guys where you can find us.
Yeah,
So we're making up for it.
What is this, episode 3?
Yeah, sure. Doesn't matter, but yeah.
I have fucking amnesia as soon as you hit record. Like I fucking like what episode are we on?
What are
like,
we talking
who's
about?
Who's doing what?
What are we talking about?
Who's
today?
doing what? Yeah,
Smurfs.
Yeah,
Today it's Smurfs.
Consummate professionals here in the BOTE podcast.
That's right.
We're fucking on top of our shit.
Absolutely.
We got teams of Harvard grads fucking fact checking all our bullshit.
Thank God that shit ain't true.
Fuck, man. Dude, I would cry. Like I would legitimately cry if we came in and it was like the same sad sack of bullshit every fucking week. Like I just couldn't do it. Like,
No, absolutely not.
Like I like talking about the shit we talk about because it's stuff that we like to fucking talk.
It
I don't know,
is.
like to talk about, but it's like, I mean, it's a conversation, it's discussion, it's, tell a story. And
Well, that's the whole point is we're telling stories. We've said it a million times, we're not real heavy on the factual and the research side of things, but we don't try to fuck up on purpose. I mean, don't get me wrong. We take this shit serious, but we're having fun.
We do.
Yeah.
So, interesting side note. We usually start with a little foreplay conversation.
Bring it
before
on.
we get into So my son saw a cat for the first time today, ever. Dude, he was fucking mesmerized by this thing. Like he fucking was all about this cat. And I don't know if it's just because he's been raised with a dog.
Right.
And he's been around dogs and he's just like, all right, whatever, it's a fucking dog. Like who gives a shit? But he saw this cat and he was like, it was like the look on his face was like, holy shit, I just met Mickey Mouse. Like,
right.
For real, Mickey Mouse.
For
like,
real.
Like, I just fucking saw the Messiah walk in. Like, he was like,
That's
oh my
awesome.
God, this is real. And, like, I can touch that.
So I wonder what
I'm
it
amazed.
is with cats. Because so my son, I have a dog and a cat, and like my dog, he's like, yeah, cool, whatever. But no, he says kitty, kitty constantly, and now he says meow, kitty, meow. And he's obsessed on TV. Like, if he's starting to cry, I'll go, hey, you want to watch a kitty? Totally chill.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's something about cats with kids or whatever, but, dude, he is absolutely gravitating towards my cat versus the dog. And I'm like, fuck, I'm a dog guy.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Well, my cat's cool, I guess, but-
dude, I've kind of gotten to the point where I think I'm away from having a pet.
Yeah, dude.
For a while. But no, that kind of leads me so it's weird because he'd never seen a cat. Sees a fucking,
Never seen a cat?
Like, I mean, he's seen them on TV and shit. Like, we've been to the zoo. Like,
Big ass
he's
cat.
seen big cats, but like he'd never been like up close and personal with a cat.
Okay, right on. Did
And-
you get to pet it and shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man, it was the whole deal. My sister's a cat person.
Okay.
So and I like cats. Cats like me, but my wife is allergic, so we don't have cats.
fair enough.
It's not something that we've ever.
Cats
really...
are cool, man.
Yeah, like I have this weird thing, like where I can be out on the street and a fucking cat will come up to me, like out of nowhere.
Fucking cat whisperer.
There's a fucking story about we went to New Orleans years and years ago. It was like one of the first vacations my wife and I ever went on together. And we were in this bar. It was like 2 a.m, and there was a bar cat. If
Right.
you've ever been to New Orleans, there's all sorts of weird shit going on.
Yeah.
But they have bar cats. Like, they're just cats that fucking live in the bars.
Hang out at the bars, yeah.
And I'm sitting at the bar fucking hanging out. This cat walks over across the bar and fucking sits in my lap. And the bartender goes, dude, can I get a picture? And I was like, well, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so the regulars and the bartender proceeds to take all these pictures of me holding this cat. He's like, I've been working here for 15 years or some stupid shit. And he's like, this cat has been here. I've never once seen anyone be able to hold that cat. I've never seen anyone be able to pick the cat up. I've definitely never seen anyone have that cat walk over to them and sit in his. Like, they're like, this is the oldest fucking cat I've ever seen. They're like the cat's. The cat's probably 9 years old. Right. It's been here, its entire life. It hates fucking everyone, and it sits in your lap, dude. It's the weirdest fucking thing. So they took all these pictures of me, like fucking. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I have this weird like cat whisperer.
There's so many pussy jokes that could be made right now, and I'm going to take the high road.
Yeah, dude, take that high road.
I did.
You just walk away.
I did. I called you the cat whisperer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very PG-13.
Yeah. But yeah, so the reason I tell this
That's
story,
fucking cool, though.
Yeah. But yeah, my kid's like fucking enamored with this cat. And last night, my wife and I, we if you guys have Netflix and have the chance to check out the docuseries,
Oh yeah.
Don't Fuck with Cats. It's actually a very compelling watch.
It's
amazing.
amazing.
It's 4 episodes long. Each episode's about an hour. It's a fucking right up your alley if you like our podcast. It's not funny. None of it's funny.
No.
But it's a very interesting cat and mouse chase story of,
it was hard to.
it's hard to watch in some areas.
Man, it was hard to watch from the get go, and then it was so
compelling.
I hate to use the word rewarding, but like the end, the payoff of suffering through some of the
rougher shit.
Yeah, and I don't want to give anything away because it just came out.
Yeah, I mean it's
phenomenal.
It's very well done.
Yeah.
And then it's also there's times where you're yelling at the television.
Oh yeah,
that you're just like, come on, motherfucker.
Yeah,
and but I mean, watch it for yourself. And I know that all those documentaries, like everything that you see these days, like it's all shot for one side. It's one-sided.
Of course,
they're trying to get their point across. They don't give a fuck. And I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying it's a good watch. It's 4 hours of your life that you will. If anything, it'll spark questions.
Yeah.
If it doesn't spark questions, then it's. You probably aren't going to be too disappointed with the time spent on this.
Yeah, and we won't get into it right now, but I have a feeling we're gonna come back to this. But I do feel I hate the spoiler. I'm guilty of doing it. I hate it when it just came out. So let's wait a little bit.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back to this because there's definitely a part that you brought up earlier where there's we'll just say a third hand.
Yeah.
Technically it's a third hand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I would have gone that heavy on the.
No,
the
think
spoiler.
that's it.
On the spoiler.
Shit. That's like in the middle. That's like episode 2 or something, I think. Well, anyway.
Well, whatever. But
spoiler alert.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago, spoiler alert. But no, I mean, there's definitely some. I don't know that it's enough to question the documentary series, but there are things that were not clarified.
Yeah,
with the series.
Well, and I would just love to be able to talk about it with you more in depth. And that was anyway. Go back and watch it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal. It's on Netflix. It's free. Well, if you pay for Netflix.
If you pay for Netflix, it ain't technically free.
Yeah.
All right, man. So that I just thought it was weird
because a good sidebar,
because we watched this fucking documentary, and then today a kid's around a fucking cat for the first time. He's like, "Oh my god, like it's amazing."
Was the cat like drawn to him?
No, dude. The cat was like, "Fuck you."
The
cat was like, "Dude, don't fuck with me. Like, there's 25 fucking people in the house. Like, don't." Like,
Again,
get
so
the
many
fuck away from
fucking
me.
Opportunities for
Get the fuck away from me, man.
pussy jokes here.
Yeah, I mean,
it's your kid, so I'm gonna steer clear.
Yeah, bro.
He's not the cat whisperer that his father is.
I mean, I guess it's later on he will learn his own
grasshopper.
He will learn his own way of cat whispering. Whispering. I mean, maybe he's not into cats. I don't know, man.
That's true. That'd
be his decision. Not decision. I guess it's his. His life. Not mine.
You'll support him no matter what.
Yeah.
We are fucking all over the place.
Yeah, all over the road, guys. Starting off strong.
Well, actually, that was. There's no segue. There's no way to segue from that into what we're doing.
I think really the nature of this episode, it's gonna be all over the board anyway. So it doesn't. There's not gonna be a good segue for this.
Yeah, right.
So my episode tonight will be Stanley Kubrick, and this is actually a part 2 episode.
Yeah,
it was this
accidental part 1. on my end.
Well, I mean, it got to where I wanted to have a conversation in the Toynbee Tiles about the Kubrick angle,
right?
And it kind of morphed into this.
And he plotted. And
I don't know if
I didn't see
plotted
it coming at all.
No, you didn't, which was awesome on my I did want to blindside you with that a little bit.
You did.
I like the Toynbee Tiles as its own
thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's a pretty compelling story.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to steal that thunder.
No, you didn't. Because honestly, I was kind of done talking about the Toynbee Tiles anyway. So, but it was perfect. So.
But it led into Stanley Kubrick,
right?
And so this is Stanley Kubrick 2,
Part 2. There it is.
And it is the idea that we came into with Stanley Kubrick Part 2 is not. We're not really discussing Stanley Kubrick as a genius or his
that he is or was,
and we're not really here to debate the quality or lasting, messages of his films,
right?
As much as we are here to discuss some of
theories,
the attached
theories
and mythos behind Stanley Kubrick. That whether it was crafted by him for things that he actually did, or if it is just kind of people who want to attribute things to him that he's not necessarily has no reason being in the same conversation.
If it wasn't intentional on his part versus people with way too much fucking time on their hands.
Fucking imagination that just runs.
There's some wild shit out there about him because I was doing research for this, so I could bring a little something to the table.
So I'm just gonna jump into it.
Go for it.
I don't give a fuck.
No, let's do it.
So if you don't know who Stanley Kubrick is, read a coffee table book. I don't know what to tell you. He did The Shining. He did Full Metal Jacket. He did Clockwork Orange. He did 2001: A Space Odyssey. He did Doctor Strangelove. Eyes Wide Shut. He actually wrote and directed half of AI. Steven Spielberg ended up picking up the end of it,
which I didn't know that. I think I just read.
Barry Lyndon was another one he did.
Eyes Wide Shut was the last film he did, right? Because I believe
the last one he completed.
Completed, right? Okay, yeah, okay.
AI he started, and then when I think he kind of knew that he was about to go, and he had started AI, and he was he handed it to Steven Spielberg and was like, "I want you to finish this."
Oh, right on.
But that movie's a fucking train wreck. It was so fucking bad. Anyway, we're getting away from exactly what we said we were going to fucking do.
It's easy to do with movies. Dude.
Yeah, you put you and I in a room, we can fucking talk about movies forever. But so to start this off, this episode exists because of the Toynbee Tiles episode that we did originally, and there's a blurb that's used. And by the way, this is just a recap of the previous episode and how we got here.
Yeah.
So the Toynbee Tiles is they have a blurb about people being resurrected on Venus,
right?
And it basically heavily references Stanley Kubrick,
the 2001: Space Odyssey.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Okay. There's also a documentary out there called Room
237.
Is it 237 or something like that? Yeah. So this documentary is a bunch of people who have varied theories on Stanley Kubrick's movie The Shining and what the actual meaning of the movie The Shining is. And one of the more pronounced theories from that documentary is that Stanley Kubrick was one of the masterminds behind faking the moon landing.
That he helped film
film and fake the moon landing. So, okay. That's kind of the premise of how we got to here.
It's so bizarre to me, but as I was digging in, I'm going,
dude, there's so much. It's so fucking much.
Oh, man. Is that why he's wearing the Apollo shirt or sweater?
Yeah.
I'm going, well, hold on. What? This makes sense. This is fucking whack.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so,
sorry.
Go ahead.
So to give you the premise of why I guess Stanley Kubrick gets a lot of attention in things, you have a lot of haphazard directors and writers and stuff who will string together a couple of good scenes, and the idea is look, we're going for the dialogue to be clean, we're going for the special effect to be set up correctly, we're going for a handful of things to go right. But Stanley Kubrick was extreme perfectionist and would reshoot scenes 60, 70, 100 times, just because he wanted everything right. So he was meticulous about everything in every scene and everything that he did.
When the blood came out of the elevator, the elevator doors, they said he shot it like a bazillion times, and every time it was like, why? Well, the blood looked, was it the wrong color or whatever? And it was always a little something different. Like, he was super anal about it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, hey, perfectionist, and he wanted it the way he wanted it.
He wanted it the way he wanted it. So, so just to jump into it, I kind of stuck with the moon landing, faking the moon landing discussion. We're not here to discuss. The big one. We're not here to discuss the validity of that conspiracy theory.
No.
Okay, we're like, so the who, what, where, why, when of Stanley Kubrick being attached to the moon landing being faked, kind of from the research that I did. And I was on all sorts of shit. Like, I mean,
dude,
I would love to give you like footnotes of like where things were, but I mean, like, dude, you can go on a fucking Wikipedia and look this up, and it's fucking days and days of fucking research on there.
But I got some from listverse.com. Dude, there's so many.
One of the ones that is the parisview.org. Yeah. So
bustle.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there.
Yeah.
But so the idea was like that nothing is in his movies by accident. Everything is planned and choreographed and shot with extreme attention to detail. So
and intentions.
And intentions.
Like it was, yeah.
So in this documentary, they say that he was a part of faking the moon landing.
So before, do you know the story of how he was about? Like, didn't they call him because?
And they call him.
They call him.
They call him.
Did I say it like that? But wasn't that it? Like, didn't I don't fuck, was it NASA? I don't know.
Yeah.
They called him in to film it. Was that the whole?
Yeah, that's like the premise. They were like,
I'm just get to the basics, like layman's terms for me.
Okay, so just the idea of the man landing on the moon, like the propaganda behind the United States landing on the moon, is basically the idea that Russia had beat us in a lot of firsts when it came to space.
Right.
But the idea that the moon being the high ground in space was really the cherry on top. It was like the gold medal. Everybody wanted it, blah, 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 blah. So, the trillions and trillions of dollars that it would cost for us to, to prep and create the machinery and to be able to go to the moon,
to make it there. Yeah.
Like, well, why the fuck are we going to spend all this money when we can do it in a fucking
film it.
movie studio in the back?
Right.
So, I watched documentaries and stuff. Like, I actually like dug into this. Like, I watched documentaries about like the dude that was Stanley Kubrick's chauffeur for like 30 fucking years and shit. And because I was like, man, this dude will slip up. Like, like he'll say something. Because all right, here's my issue with all conspiracy theories, and I'm just gonna throw this out there as like, kind of my line in the sand when it comes to conspiracy theories. Okay. If you take like we had this discussion, I think when it was the smiley face murders.
Right.
Like when you start adding people to a lie or a cover up,
yeah,
it gets way more intricate, way more difficult to keep the narrative the same.
Oh yeah, right.
So
stories don't.
The idea that you have multiple astronauts, you have multiple government entities, you have Stanley Kubrick, his entire staff, you have everybody on the ground, anybody that's connected to this, the president, like the fucking Nixon couldn't even tap a phone without getting caught. And you're going to tell me that, like,
They got away with it.
They got away with this.
Nobody, yeah.
And there's some to say, like, well, they didn't get away with it because people are talking about it, like you're talking about it right now on your fucking podcast. Well, yeah, but we're not, though, really.
But there's no proof.
Like,
I mean,
so that,
yeah.
I mean, that is my issue with most conspiracy theories. Like, you don't, like, getting to organize two people to tell the same lie on a grand scale is one thing. Hundreds of people,
It's not going to happen.
yeah, it's hard for me to believe that anybody can pull that off.
Right.
Especially, like, I mean, some of these fucking astronauts are still alive.
So for the record, you think we went to the moon? We landed on the moon?
Yeah, I believe we made it. I believe we made it to the moon.
Okay, me too.
But I do.
I agree.
I do believe that some of the conspiracy theories have very interesting conversation points.
Well, yeah, okay, that's fair.
Many of them have been debunked.
Of course.
But the radiation barrier is one of them. That one's very hard. That one's kind of like a hard one for me to like swallow. Like I believe we went to the moon, but I'm like, like if you don't know about the radiation barrier thing, like it's like once you get out to a certain distance, like there's nothing. Like the astronauts that go up now, they're protected by the magnetic field of the Earth. It's like reflecting the radiation from the sun and everything else.
Okay.
But once you get past that, there's this like huge bubble of radiation that like
there's no coming back from.
Like, dude, it supposedly will fucking just kill you like instantly.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so they're like, well, how the fuck do these people get through that? Like,
right.
And not only did they get through it, they came back through it. Like they went through it once and then they turned around and came back.
And then they came back. Yeah, right.
So, I mean, there's things like that I find are very interesting.
Wow.
But
what did we say? We're not going to get into the whole...
But, you asked if I believed, and I said,
That's true.
I believe that we went to the moon. But so this conversation is not about the moon landing. This conversation is about Stanley Kubrick.
Correct.
And one of the main things that he's attached to is faking the moon landing. And the reason that he would have been attributed to faking the moon landing. And so in my research, one of the things I came across was like, if you look at his films, it's a it's a roadmap of like him, like that was supposed to be his like great swan song, like faking the moon landing. And he's giving you clues in all of his films for at least to a certain extent of like, why or how or what,
Yeah, you told me that, and I'm going, fuck, brain exploding. Like, what?
So he did the movie Barry Lyndon, right? And he shoots the movie Barry Lyndon, which is a period piece.
It's the only one I have not seen, actually.
Yeah, and he shot the whole film with a special camera, and he shot it all using only candlelight.
No shit.
Yeah, there's like no artificial light used.
Wow.
In the filming of this. And so that's kind of like, that was like the how.
It could be a really dark fucking movie.
Yeah, well, that was like the how. That like
literally dark.
Well, that he like understood the quality of film and the lighting of certain cameras and things like that, that he could, that's the reason he was kind of chosen. Is that he had this skill. Right. And he uses that skill to make Barry Lyndon.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so then the how. The how.
Right, okay.
This is like literally how we pulled it off.
Okay.
And the other part of the how is 2001: A Space Odyssey. So the idea of being able to film zero gravity and fake a space science fiction
literally
film.
Make a science fiction film where they...
Yeah, like where I'm showing you how I did it. Like it's like the magician showing his tricks.
Right.
And
so...
like
a run through.
Right. And then if you look at Dr. Strangelove is Dr. Strangelove is literally the idea of the United States and Russia in this battle to see who's going to fucking destroy the Earth first with the atomic weapons. So the idea is like we were going to crush
the race,
the Russians by crippling them financially in this race to the moon that we never actually were ever going to go on. Right. So, and then The Shining is like supposedly the confession. Like,
Right.
The Shining is supposed to be how he prepared the astronauts, the fake astronauts, before and after to act, because it's Jack Nicholson in this isolated area where, you know, he's removed from society and like all these things and blah 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 blah.
Well, I would say, and I don't know if I don't know if I want to jump in now, but I just will, because I just did, because I fucking interrupted you. Anyway.
Well,
you want to finish your?
Yeah, and
as you say, volley.
The last thing is A Clockwork Orange,
all right.
And that was like the one that I was like, well, okay, like how is this one fit? And it's the end of A Clockwork Orange when he's got the eyes open and they're just like force feeding him all those images.
Oh, it's such
and that is the media showing us this and repeating it and throwing it into history and getting mankind to kind of fucking agree that this was something in our collective conscience and not really looking at some of the conspiracy theories or
that scene, by the way, is haunting to me.
Yeah. So that's essentially my volley, is that them talking about the roadmap in his films, explaining the greatest act of this magician, this genius. He couldn't live with this secret that he'd basically fooled the world. So, you know, the magician, he wants the people to know that he is this great magician. So he gives you literally every single piece of it.
His roadmap. That's pretty cool.
And so that's the conspiracy theory.
It's a cool concept, cool idea, man.
Yeah.
Now, so I think Kubrick is a genius, or was a genius for sure. I don't know if I buy all that. But what I was going to say about The Shining, when I so rudely interrupted you a second ago, is like some of the little tale, and I mentioned it earlier, like that little Danny's wearing the Apollo shirt.
Apollo shirt, yeah.
And that he goes, what did they say? Shit. Man, I was hoping I remembered this. He like goes into one of the rooms and he comes out and it's all torn, like his shirt's all torn, as though, what was the reference? You know what I'm talking about at all? Does that?
I mean, isn't it like it's torn? Like
it's like an analogy for
lost innocence or some shit. Like you know, he'd seen too much. Or,
yeah, he'd seen too much, and they were trying to. Well, and then the other big one was that there was Tang. Yeah, which is the drink of the astronauts apparently, or whatever.
Right, and then it was something about the design in the carpet. It was like it was supposed to look like the air hatch.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's the symbol of the air hatch.
There was a bunch of them. Yeah. And I'm literally drawing a blank. That sucks because
No, there's a whole bunch of stuff that references
his confession. But so here's the thing. Like, some of it is it a coincidence? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
there's. But see, that's the argument about Kubrick, is he doesn't make there aren't coincidences.
Everything is intentional.
Right? Everything is intentional. So here's what I'll say. Yeah. I think it's pretty. I think it's a very conversation based theory.
The theory, yeah.
A lot of pints probably went behind that theory. Maybe some wheat, maybe some wheat, man.
Some wheat.
Maybe some this, that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
a stretch.
So here's the reason that I don't buy it.
All right.
Is because, like all conspiracy theories, like, dude, there's gonna be like a red herring. Like okay, so this is gonna be the idea that he couldn't get away with this by himself, so somebody would fucking know. Somebody'd
spill the beans.
That's why I watched a fucking documentary about his goddamn chauffeur is because this dude would fucking know. Like, he would fucking have been around him. Like, he would have had to have been. And, all right, second off, if you're going to fake something like the moon landing, like if you're going to be the guy who's the director of the moon landing that gets faked, there's no way that the fucking government lets you out of your little box to go make movies in Hollywood for everyone to see
Right.
and the potential of you to do exactly what this conspiracy theory says Stanley Kubrick tried to pull off. So, I don't, dude.
So let me just read this one little thing, because as I was trying to research, I wanted to have some input on this, because this was fairly like I knew the idea of like Stanley Kubrick is supposed to have helped fake or film the land. You know, that's about all I knew. And then the Toynbee Tiles, you started going into like The Shining. There's a lot of crazier theories than what you just fucking said that are out there. But this one right here says that Kubrick's The Shining was basically his apology for moon landing. Yeah. And I'll just read this. It's from bustle.com, whatever that is. So I don't know if it's a valid source, but it was interesting. Allegedly, the U.S. government hired Stanley Kubrick to fake the moon landing and Neil Armstrong's subsequent walk on the moon. So when it came time for Kubrick to make The Shining, he supposedly put coded messages in the film as an apology for helping with the fake moon landing. Conspiracy theorists point to evidence like the containers of Tang in the hotel's pantry and the fact that Danny wears the Apollo 11 sweater. Plus, room 237 is supposedly a reference to the distance between the Earth and the moon, which is 237,000 miles. Now, something interesting, room 237, they changed, I think I read that it was actually room 217 at first, but they changed it because there was an actual room 217, and they were afraid people wouldn't stay in it or something like that. Yeah. So it's actually, there's not a room 237 in the Stanley Hotel. Isn't that what it is, Stanley Hotel?
Yeah.
So, like, there's, it's all over the place, but similar to what you're saying and a couple of the things that I hit up, but this, they're saying, is an apology. So there's a bunch of weird things that he's referencing.
If you literally, look up Stanley Kubrick conspiracy theory, it immediately takes you to moon landing.
Oh, yeah.
That is the big one.
But... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
In that documentary, Room 237, they talk about a lot of other stuff that he was trying to, hidden messages he was trying to sneak through. And
completely off of the moon landing theory, they've said that the hotel is supposedly hell.
Yeah.
There's the film references Native American genocide, references the Holocaust.
Yeah.
What do they say? Room 237 is. The theory from Room 237 is that the film is Kubrick's way of dealing with the Holocaust thanks to the reoccurring usage of the number 42, which was the year the final solution was put into use. Also, I think you said this, the typewriter that Jack uses is to write... hold on.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
And apparently the typewriter that Jack uses to write the reminiscent of the Germans' technique of making lists to decide who to kill... and the alleged Nazi eagle symbol appears. So basically,
but there's something else about the fucking typewriter, man. There's something about the typewriter, the type of typewriter it is.
Was the same kind that was that the Germans used when they were deciding who to kill.
Yeah. So I mean,
Jack is the devil in one because he was similar position as the image of the devil on the tarot cards.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, dude. And.
Frozen and The Shining are the same movie. That's new.
That one's new. If you watch Frozen, if you watch The Shining backwards and forward, it's the same movie.
No fucking way.
That's one of the theories that he made the movie so that you and they have these fucking groups that get together and watch The Shining, and they'll literally watch the movie overlaid, played backwards while they're watching it, and things happen in weird spots, certain things will occur, the end thing pops up right as the car's driving in and they kind of meet. And just a whole bunch of these crazy fucking theories. And dude, I get it, Stanley Kubrick's a fucking genius, but there's no way that we're getting to the fucking bottom of this one.
No,
because I mean, he's dead. And he didn't leave a fucking death note that said, "Hey, I fucking did this."
By the way, I'm fucking with all y'all.
I fucking did this.
That's true. Well, so this whole episode for me was just about we're just talking about the crazy theories that are out there. To put it very simply.
Yeah, and that's why the roadmap one I think is the most interesting one to me. because I think
it's the most logical thing that
well,
I've heard.
I don't know if it's logical
Compared to what I'm going to share a couple
it's
of
coherent.
really weird ones.
I will say
There
it's
you go.
coherent.
I like that better.
Like I like the fact that it's wrapped up with a pretty little bow. Like
It is the most coherent
Each
theory.
one of it, like, because he has a theory. It's like 7 scenes, the 7 scene series theory, where like 2001, like the reason it kind of feels chopped up is because he wanted 7 perfect scenes to make whatever, and so the idea is looking at that theory, like then you kind of stretch that out to his film career.
Oh, weird.
And it's just, I mean, they're very elaborate theories.
Yeah, it's hard for me to wrap my head around some of these, to be honest with you.
I mean, I think the reason I liked the roadmap one is, like, I mean, it makes sense. Like the fucking Barry Lyndon shows that his skill and why he would be chosen. The 2001 is him literally dangling the fucking carrot in front of you, saying like, "Look, I fucking did this."
Yeah.
Like
I've
you guys like that fucking movie. I already fucking made you one movie.
The Shining's just laying, like, kind of poking fun, or just basically giving us the hints.
It's like, hey man, here's the script.
Yeah.
Here's the idea.
So
Doctor Strangelove is your players. The reason.
Oh, the players, yeah. Eyes Wide Shut, I guess, isn't really in that.
No, but and then Clockwork Orange is like, we're just gonna force feed you these images and you're gonna fucking agree with it until we're just gonna, regardless of who you are, what your background is, like if you see something enough,
yeah, the media's
we're gonna cram this shit down your throat.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're gonna fucking agree with it, man.
No, I like that. Yeah. So and some of these others that I've read make almost no sense to me, or it's just like you said, they're just reaching, and people have got too much time. That actually, I could see a genius like him doing something like that with his films.
Yeah,
that I totally get behind that.
So if he actually faked the moon landing, this is the theory that I want.
Right.
That he did this, and this is his explanation of, like, I faked the moon landing. All of this is real. The boogeyman exists.
Which would be really badass, kind of in a really messed up way. That changes a lot.
If they came out and they're like tomorrow and they're like, we found this in his will, and he's like, oh, fucking roadmap. Like,
damn it!
I'd be like, fuck. But no,
Armstrong's like, fuck me.
Yeah. So
my whole life's a sham.
But yeah, like Buzz Aldrin, like that is one of the things that I read about this theory, like because they were kind of talking about the people who
What I say, Armstrong,
the people who are attributed to landing on the moon, like they're all like kind of fucking out there, man, like Buzz Aldrin and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like you have these dudes in like interviews today, and these guys are all like kind of out there, like. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense that, like, these are the dudes that...
Hey, that's who you picked. Yeah, they're not going to talk. And if they do, they're not going to get the story straight.
Yeah, like, fuck, man. So, I think of all of his the conspiracy theories linked to him, I like that one, I think, because my mind goes around it fairly easily. Like I can understand, like, okay, that's concise. Yeah, you guys aren't really getting lost in this fucking spinning narrative. It's just... easy peasy.
No, yeah.
A, B, C equals D.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, one that is, I don't know if I'd even call it a theory, but something that I think that he actually did put into a film, which is kind of cool because this is the kind of, just thinker.
Yeah.
He's definitely intellectual, but is in, really?
I don't know.
The war movie. Help me out. Full Metal Jacket. Good Lord. Full Metal Jacket, which I freaking love, but like they kept referencing Mickey Mouse, and then like I think towards the end they were all singing the
Mickey Mouse.
Basically, he was saying how ridiculous their marching songs were. I was like, now that's a fucking way to poke fun at something.
This is weird.
And to me, I go, okay, he probably did that. Like that makes sense to me. I don't know if that's why I won't call it really a theory.
Well, so
I could see him doing something like that.
Okay, so that's weird. Like my dad, like because the first person I ever watched Full Metal Jacket was my dad, and I watched that movie at way too young of an age, obviously.
God, yeah.
But I remember him telling me, like, because the Mickey Mouse thing at the end, like my dad like was really like taken aback by that part, because my dad didn't go to Vietnam, even though he was like at that age.
Right.
But the Mickey Mouse scene at the end where they're whistling and they're
all
singing
it, yeah.
He was like, it was such a Mickey Mouse bullshit. They sold us a fairy tale. Like, that was what my dad always told me. It was like they sold us this fucking fairy tale that it was, you know, that we're fighting this war for like this reason or that reason. It was like, at the end of the day, it was all bullshit.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, that like crafted my brain.
Yeah, right.
Of that war and like how I looked at it. He's, you know, he was very like, you know, pro veteran guy.
Yeah, right.
But he was definitely the first person to say, no, the reason that we went to war on this one was bullshit.
Was Mickey Mouse. That's fucking good.
It was Mickey Mouse. It was a fucking fairy tale. It was a fucking cartoon sold to us by big business.
Right.
You know? And so, I mean, I like that imagery behind Kubrick fucking doing that fucking...
That's what I mean. I can see, like, okay, that one, I'm like, yeah, that's believable.
Yeah.
Let me, if you don't mind, I'll take over just for a second, and I'll flip the script on you. Some that I don't believe, and I wanted to throw these out and see if you've heard of these.
Okay.
This one says, his films are warnings about a NASA sex cult. If you've never heard of the Saturn death cult, prepare to have your mind blown. A sort of hyper-evil Illuminati crossed with whatever it is David, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, keeps going on about. They've infiltrated every organization on Earth to prepare us for the next stage of interstellar evolution. And then, hold on, blah, blah, blah. Well, get this. Stanley Kubrick supposedly spent his entire life warning us about them. I was like, oh, that's a new one. You ever heard anything about that one?
Yeah.
Really?
Actually, I've heard of I've heard of the space sex cult. Dude, I mean, you know, because I fucking do like go and like research this fucking weird shit, and sometimes, you know, you end up in these weird spots.
Well, no, right? So I never heard that.
That actually, I'm pretty sure that.
Well, here, let me.
If I'm wrong, tell me. But that's pretty sure that was a Nazi-based cult that came out of World War II Germany. And they're even like, it was supposedly kind of came with the higher group of Nazis that kind of filtered into society and tried to disappear after the end of World War II. And Werner von Braun, who came with Operation Paperclip from Germany to start NASA, was apparently a big fan of this NASA alien sex cult.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, that I didn't get that far in there, so I'm going, holy shit.
Yeah, I may have done a little extra research.
Yeah, I guess so. Stuff. I don't know if that's the same, but the theory goes that while faking the moon landing for NASA, Kubrick became aware of the fiendish Saturn-worshipping sex cult at the heart of America's space race. And then basically he said 2001 was supposed to contain references to the planet Saturn before Warner Brothers changed it to Jupiter. Eyes Wide Shut deals with an evil worldwide sex cult. AI was originally about the sort of person who would want to buy a non-aging 12-year-old robot boy slave. And Lolita warns us about the existence of child grooming network. Lolita, I forgot about that.
I forgot about Lolita. I've never seen Lolita.
Dude, that's fucking. They said The Shining is a totally separate one. The Shining is about abandoning the gold standard.
Yeah. Well, so.
Interesting.
So
there's
so the sex cult I'd heard about. I didn't know Stanley Kubrick was supposedly supposed to have anything to do with it.
Right. Well, this is who knows.
There was one of the theories I think about The Shining was, and there's a lot of Stanley Kubrick-esque theories out there that don't have anything to do with The Shining. But I think that my research kind of started with that 237 movie.
Yeah.
And one of them was the Western expansion and the genocide of native peoples.
Yeah, you were talking about that a little bit last time.
And it has to do with like even like the cans of food in the pantry are all lined up a certain fucking way, and it shows it talks about like what this word means and like all this stuff, and it's like putting it in your face, and even though it's in your face you don't really realize it's in your face.
Right.
I mean, okay, here's what, for the meticulous side of like Kubrick's nature when it came to film, I feel like it is such an injustice if he did put these kind of things into his films and then left us no fucking narrative.
Right.
You know, like left us no fucking answer. And it's such an easy cop out for these like fucking conspiracy theory people where they can just be like, well, that is, you know, the point is you're supposed to, you know, do this and fucking think and do the research. Like, yeah, but come on, man.
Somebody's
like,
got to have a cheat sheet.
Yeah, like, not only is there a cheat sheet, but, like, if this is really what you're doing, dude, like, why isn't there, like, interviews where, you know, Stanley Kubrick was, like, pulled off the fucking camera? Or, you know...
Right.
You know, if he's really, like, speaking to these grandiose ideas, like, there would be somebody that was, like, his confidant that, like, was helping him.
Somebody would know. You couldn't do this alone.
Yeah, man.
I agree.
Like, I fucking watched that movie 35 times and I figured it the fuck out. Like, no, dude, there's a lot of shit in there. Like, I agree.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fucking creepy imagery, and that's the point. And I think a lot of the reason that The Shining gets such a fucking pinpoint to it is because there is source material. Like, it's based on a Stephen King novel, which Stephen King fucking hated Stanley Kubrick's version of it,
and they said that Kubrick didn't even read the
book,
the scroll, the
treatment that.
Well, no, what the hell's it called?
Screenplay.
Thank you, Jesus. Yeah.
Well,
words are hard.
Words be hard, but I mean, you know, he had to reference something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there is at least some pieces of that film that cross into both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's seriously, like, there's parts of that book that technology would have limited them at the time.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's a part in the book where, like, the fucking shrubberies, like, become these big animals and they're fucking chasing the kid through the fucking snow and all this shit. And they couldn't have fucking done that back in the fucking day.
Yeah, right.
Or not, like, made it, like, he wouldn't have done it if it would have looked cheesy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like, he was all about some realism. So he was, you know...
they would have left that out. Yeah.
But, you know, I think that is like one of the arguments that everybody has is like, A, it was outside of what Stanley Kubrick did, that he made a book of that genre into a movie.
Right.
The fact that it was fairly removed from the source material, even though, I mean, it is, but you know, the premise is
not
still
that
fucking
far.
there.
It's the same.
The premise is still pretty much fucking there.
Right.
But the other thing is, like, you know, at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of these theories, some sex culty aliens.
Oh, there's some weirder ones, but we'll
I
leave
mean,
it alone.
You can dig into any of them that you want. I just, I think I wanted to dig into this story, to kind of have the conversation about, you know, I love having a good conversation and I love having an imagination.
Yeah.
And I love, you know, ooh, could it, would it, should it?
Could it
be
possible?
There's a difference between having the conversation and then building your life around.
Well, right.
You know, like, I don't like I'm not a flat earther. Sorry. Like, I'm not even going to have that conversation with people.
Nope.
Like, sorry. There's certain things where I'm like, dude, I'm not going to have this conversation with you. If you were to come to me with some very compelling evidence with you, you know, and sit down with me and say, hey, these are the reasons I don't believe in the moon landing happened. I'll entertain your conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and you may be able to turn the cynic. Like, I'm not saying that you couldn't.
Right.
I feel like there's so much leveraged against that conspiracy theory.
You mean this one here?
Well, the moon
landing. Yeah,
I feel, and so that's why I've always had an issue with it, and I don't like discussing it, because the people on either side of this argument, there's no room for discussion.
Right.
It's either you're wrong and fuck you, or it's you're wrong and fuck you. Like, that's the conversation on both sides. Like, there's no dialogue.
So I like conspiracy theories, shit and stuff, topics, because one, I'm so
starry-eyed dreamer.
Well, yeah, but like, I will go with whatever theory makes me the happiest. and then I will convince myself that I believe in said theory, just because that's who I am. But the reason I like talking about the Kubrick and all that, the movies are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think the dude was such a genius and his movies were so phenomenal that people have just run with it, and we're still sitting here talking about this dude after he's gone. And you know what I mean? Like, no one's going to say, leave it at, oh, the movies were awesome, really detail focused pieces of art. They've taken it so many fucking steps further,
right,
that I'm like, man, that's such a, it just, I think it speaks volumes for him.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I sent you down 2 rabbit holes on this one.
Yeah.
I ended up doing this episode, like the start of this episode.
Yeah.
But you've done research on this side, and you did the Toynbee Tiles.
Yeah.
Tiles, plaques, whatever.
Toynbee Tiles, yeah.
So you got 2 rabbit holes, man. Make it work. Like, why the fuck is the statement about Kubrick on the tiles?
On the tiles?
In your opinion, like, I mean, I'm not obviously, like, I'm not saying go to Philly and drag this dude out of his fucking
in my
house.
opinion, that dude, and I don't even remember his name, that rode around in his car with the floorboard out,
Yeah.
placing these tiles, is one of the whack jobs that has a really vivid imagination and is obsessed with Kubrick films as well, probably.
Yeah.
I think he's just I think he's a introvert who is basically a recluse, and he's just fucking out there, man.
Right.
And I just don't think there's much of an explanation other than the fact that I'd love to get inside his head, but I don't know if I wanted to stick around there for long enough to, you know what I mean? I don't think that I don't think it makes any sense other than this dude's fucking really on his own.
Living in his own.
Yeah, I mean, and I think people are so confused by it. They've taken it and done the same thing with the Kubrick films that dude that did the documentary about the Toynbee Tiles is doing. Yeah. With those, you know what I mean? He's like so obsessed with it that he's fucking coming up with all these theories, and really it's probably something pretty simple that somebody's just fucking wacky. you know?
He really liked the movie, and he thought there was something interesting in there, and he
read the book that with the guy who had the theory about putting people on Venus. Is that right? Jupiter.
Yeah. I said Venus earlier. I was wrong.
Yeah. No, Jupiter. And he's just like, oh, there's a connection when there's not at all.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, because does
that answer the question?
Well, kind of? I mean, yeah, like, no, I mean, I think that was the discussion that I kind of wanted out of both of these is you've kind of got these.
I am a starry-eyed dreamer, but I think these people are just fucking really just reaching, and they're just so far out there.
I'm really happy about that, man. Like, I'm really I'm really happy that I've burned some cynic into you.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Like the idea,
more than once, by the way.
Well, like the idea that, like, I mean, dude, I gave you so much fucking rope on this one, where it was like, dude, you could go down like, oh man, this dude is blah 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 blah, and then you've got all these conspiracy theories with Kubrick, and I was like, dude, he's got all this room, man. Let's see where he runs.
Well, and I tell you why I am a cynic on it is because there's so much of it that I'm going, okay, it's too much. If there was one and only one, like the moon landing and the whole roadmap of the films, if that was the only one, and I'm looking at one right now that says Kubrick worked for the Illuminati. And then there's another one that he was assassinated by insert evil group here. Like, dude, if none of these existed and all these theories weren't out there, I'd probably be a little bit more prone to go, oh, maybe there's something to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, so I think that this is kind of like just a fun imagination discussion, kind of, for me anyway.
Well, it's nice not to talk about fucking death and gore and
mayhem for a minute.
Boob mutilation.
Well, yes, this is true. But like the investigative side of my mind, it likes to, okay, like, let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Let's see where we're going with it. And so what I got out of the Toynbee Tiles is the guy was an eccentric.
Yeah. You mean the guy
Right.
That actually was doing it?
Was actually doing it. It was an eccentric. And another one of these things where it was kind of a narrative that was his own, that maybe nobody did figure out the recipe for. You know, nobody figured out what the fuck he was trying to say.
But I don't think he cared. That's what's cool.
Like, yeah, that was just
him.
what he wanted to do, and like,
he does. It wouldn't hurt anybody, so I thought it was like, oh, well, that's cool. Except that one guy who made the documentary like spent his entire fucking life obsessing about it.
I mean, buyer beware. Like I think we've
that's right.
For the last like month and a half, everything's been buyer beware, man.
That's
like nobody put a gun to his head and said, "Go figure this out."
No.
You know what I'm saying?
And he made a cool documentary.
Yeah, it was. It was worth a watch. And then this 237, like,
which I have seen that, by the way.
Yeah,
I know it last time we were talking about it, and I said I think I started it. I started watching a bunch of clips of it, and I go, oh no, I think I saw this whole thing, and it started kind of coming back to me. It's a cool ass documentary.
It's a cool discussion.
Yeah.
Piece for me. But I feel like that movie is just like a lot of these other conspiracy theories. Like, I'll talk about it with you, but I ain't buying it. That's where we land. Like,
yep.
That's where we moon landing this conversation. But the issue I think I have with all these conspiracy theories is, dude, like, we're just gonna go in fucking circles, man.
Yeah,
we're always gonna go in fucking circles.
I know.
And especially, like, you're going to take two conspiracy theories on this one. You're going to tell me that not only did Kubrick fucking fake the moon landing, but then he, like, goes through this, like, long-ass career and then doesn't fucking, like, there's no fucking ending. Like, why this is the second conspiracy theory. Like, we're not getting anywhere. Like, and God, it really reads like a fucking creepypasta story to me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're gonna leave this open ended, and then other people are gonna come in and fill in the blanks and blah blah blah. And that's what the fucking internet's done. Like, all these people have done is like, we're gonna fill in the gaps.
Yeah, the internet is it's good at that.
It is, man. There's rabbit holes for anyone.
Yeah, but at the end, it's just for me, it was like, oh, this is fun. Because there's so many wacky things out there, and really none of them were
held any water.
Yeah, right. There was none that I would go, oh, now that one actually makes sense. I mean, if one, we've already decided, and we agree, if one was going to make sense, it's the one that you discussed. But even that,
dude, it's thin, man. It's a tough premise, dude.
Yeah,
like that he could get away with that.
Yeah, Well, the moral of the story is that people are fucking wackadoos, and they're gonna just take something and run with it. And
dude, like,
Stanley Kubrick makes amazing fucking films.
Yeah, like, and fucking appreciate that. Appreciate that for what it was. But the other thing is, like, if you find yourself in a room with newspaper clippings stuck to the wall and a bunch of threads going from one side of the room to the other,
outside,
dude. You need to make a friend.
Go outside for a little bit.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, even if you're fucking 100% right, like, even if any of these theories are 100% right, what's the end game?
Yeah,
nobody's gonna fucking believe you. Like, it's the fucking shittiest thing in the world that if you are right, that nobody's gonna fucking believe you. But, dude, I'm sorry, that is the reality.
Make a YouTube video.
So
try to change everyone's mind.
Try to change everyone's mind on Kubrick.
But everyone does agree that his movies are the shit. Well, most of them.
I like I said, I never watched Lolita.
I've seen Lolita. It was all right. AI was not wonderful, but he only claim half of that. I guess I didn't realize that.
I wasn't a huge fan of Eyes Wide Shut. It's just
I just thought it was weird.
Yeah, like, I don't. Rich people sex cult, like, I don't have a lot of stake in that game.
No, I agree. But I mean, Clockwork Orange, epic.
That's based on another book. That.
Well, Full Metal Jacket's probably my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Not The Shining. I would have figured you. I would have poked you for a Shining guy.
Well, no. Shining is one of my favorite horror films ever made.
Yeah.
But I think Full Metal Jacket's a better film.
Yeah, I think Full Metal Jacket's probably my favorite. 2001's probably my favorite Kubrick film.
See, I told you, I tried to, that one I wanted to like so bad. And I didn't dislike it. I was just like, God, it's just like pulling teeth, man. Yeah. Fucking.
And then Dr. Strangelove, like, I wish I could put that higher on my list. It's just not.
Same boat. Yeah.
Like, I like it for, like, I would like it for what it is.
No, you know what? I take all that back. Shining is definitely, I like that movie better than Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. Full Metal Jacket.
Like if I was stuck on an island and I had
Full Metal Jacket's 2 movies though.
Well, yeah.
I mean, all of his other stuff, it's like 1 movie.
Pretty much.
Like Full Metal Jacket is two narratives.
2 different, yeah.
It's 2 completely different narratives. But whatever. Like again, we could go fucking all day long talking about movies. But
you're right, Shining.
I think the idea here is having an imagination and wanting to have a good discussion is fine and dandy. It's what we do.
Yeah.
Don't base your life on it.
Don't fucking base your life.
Yeah, dude.
You put it to bed and move on.
When you're the crazy guy screaming at somebody at a 5-year-old's birthday party because they don't believe that Stanley Kubrick tried to fake the moon landing, like, you're probably the one in the wrong here, dude.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's
all right.
I say Stanley Kubrick was a genius. I don't think he did
faked the moon landing.
Any of the 19 million things that you look up when you type in Stanley Kubrick conspiracy theory.
Agreed.
Like literally, like the Paris View article that I read is like literally the article is about Stanley Kubrick faking the moon landing, and it's like, here are all the reasons why we think he faked it. Not like why he was chosen, but it's literally like all the reasons that people say that the moon landing is fake, and then like some loose shit as to why like Stanley Kubrick was the one who did it. But then like along with all these reasons that people say that the moon landing is fake, like it's like debunked, and here's why, debunked, here's why, debunked, here's why. So like
because it wasn't faked.
So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I can't fucking explain, but I also don't work at NASA and I don't have a degree in fucking astrophysics or any of that shit. So like I'm not going to be able to explain it to you. I'm just saying like it's easier for me to believe that we went to the moon than it is for me to believe that there's some giant conspiracy that says that we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah, agreed. We are in agreement on this one as well. We've been doing that. We've been agreeing a lot lately.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's easy when fucking it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Well, he's holding the gun. Well, he did it.
No, he did it.
He fucking did it.
What are you doing next week?
I don't know, man.
Wait, I gave you the French dude.
Oh yeah. Is he French or I thought he was Italian, Spanish?
No, it's like 5 French names, I think.
Yeah, I know what the story is. Yeah, I'll do. That's what I'm doing.
All right,
you're doing a suggestion next week. I'm doing the
French guy.
The French guy
with 5 names.
With 5.
That may be a werewolf or something.
Next week we don't need an episode.
Oh man! All right, you good with Kubrick? All right, good shit,
Kubrick, man.